I've been watching a ton of Netflix. Like I want to say these last two and a half. No, screw that. That's even false. This last month, like literally when this podcast was erected, giggity. Literally, it's just been like loving Netflix. Netflix has been my side chick at this point. Like this podcast is practically sponsored by Netflix. I'm just waiting to get my little code, and it's like, and you too can sign up for Netflix today when you put in code SMD. But no, the thing is, I've been watching, unless you've just been under a fucking rock, The Umbrella Academy. Okay, I'm gonna say now, it's dope. It's dope. It's dope. So now here's the part where I give you some backstory as to why I think it's dope and a little bit about the show. So the show is a adaptation of of limited graphic novel series by Gerard Way. Gerard Way just so happens to have been the former frontman of the, oh god, I'm gonna get my head taken off if I classify it wrong. Would you consider My Chemical Romance a punk band? Are they emo? I'm not sure. All I know is they were the shit when I was a freshman in high school. I remember hearing their like hit song, I'm Not Okay. And I was like, oh, these guys are going to be fucking huge. I think they were out of Jersey and everything. And then fucking Gerard Way, is a graduate of the fucking school I wanted to always go to, SVA, School of Visual Arts in New York. So this is literally his baby, a graphic novel that he created. Because I remember post his My Chemical Romance career, he's like, hey, I actually want to get into making comics and graphic novels and things like that. So he made this in conjunction with Dark Horse and DC, and then thus the Umbrella Academy was born. Now the Netflix series itself, I think it was really good. I want to say it had about 10 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, about 10 episodes, and it has the same sort of tone as, I would say, X-Men, like a sort of like plucky X-Men, but with the melodrama at times, just because they're so damn dysfunctional, of like the Watchmen. So I thought it was really dope. Again, you got this family of these like seven different individuals who were all born on the same day, who were adopted by this super rich, eccentric, extraordinary businessman who decided to say, like, I'm gonna go ahead and band all these kids together and make a team out of them. And this team are gonna be known as the Umbrella Academy, and they all have their own special abilities. And then as they've grown up as adults, they've had their own sort of relationships with one another and quirks, and it was just wild. I mean, they definitely threw me for a loop when I saw, okay, I'm like, all right, Ellen Page is in this, so that's dope. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, so she's gonna probably be the little like mopey kid, and oh, when you see the series, I'm like, you motherfucker. I knew you were gonna be the fucking super edgy person at the end of this series, because it just seemed like it was, something was up. Something was up. Then, yeah, my boy, I'm thinking his name is Robert Sheehan. He's from the UK show Misfits. I swear it's like his career trajectory is he's just gonna play that dysfunctional guy probably for the rest of his like career, because he just has that aura about him, like he's just such a fuck up. But I mean, it's like it's perfect though. It's perfect. He plays a character known as Klaus, who can evoke and see the dead. So it was like cool shit. They have weird powers like that. Then they had Diego, who was kind of like the Rorschach of the group, and was like super edgy and could like bend whatever he would throw. In his case, it would always be knives, so he would just fuck people up throwing knives. They had Allison, who kind of looked like a fair-skinned Serena Williams. Like the whole time, I was just looking, and I was like, yo, I even told my girl, I was like, hey, I'm like, doesn't she look like a fair-skinned Serena? And I just kept, and I couldn't help but not see it for the rest of the series. I was like, God damn, she looks just like Serena. It's crazy. What pissed me off about her character is she never uses the shit as an adult for the whole show. She's one of those character types that are like, oh, well, I feel like, it's more of a curse than it is a gift, and I'm conflicted, and I'm like, whatever. Dude, you give me powers, I'm using my fucking powers, as long as it isn't some, like, self-deprecating shit. Then, you had the big, big hulkish like guy, which I'm not going to give anything away about him, but interesting one, the self-appointed leader. And then, you had another character who was the time traveling like character with an interesting backstory. Number 5. They were labeled by numbers. They had names, but some of them had numbers as well. They all had numbers, but they also had names. I don't think number 5 had a name. I think it was just number 5, if I'm not mistaken. So, just very interesting. I like the show. In short, I mean, like I said, it had Mary J. Blige in it as almost like an Adjustment Bureau / MIB like operative going against the Umbrella Academy, which was fucking hilarious. Her name was Cha Cha. So I'm just like, yo, this whole time I'm like, yo, y'all are wildin' when y'all got Mary J. Blige out here beating people's asses like this. I know those cutaway scenes were a bitch to shoot, because Mary was not out there flipping nobody, was not doing no sort of cartwheels and all that. No, she was not. So shout out to that stunt team. But but again, it was good. I liked it. Like I said, it was funny enough, edgy enough, but then dramatic enough to kind of pull you in. It was really engrossing. It's like as soon as you started with the first episode, you wanted to know more about this world where they've got their Alfred like butler who's a talking chimpanzee named Pogo, who's always been their caretaker, or their mother who's a android who looks like she's like something out of the 40s, and she's just always looked the same, been the same as she's basically like their Stepford Wives like mother, pretty much, just flat out. She's like a Stepford wife of a mother, so a mother bot. So, like I said, it was just a really super dope, quirky show. You could see where in the book and the actual source material where there were a lot of inspirations from other popular comics and media, but I still thought the shit was fly. So, Umbrella Academy is huge on my list. You gotta see it. You just gotta. But oh God, this fucking show. We're gonna spend a lot of time on this, but I'm gonna try not to. Another Netflix show, which apparently isn't so much new, but I mean, it's been out probably for a month or so now. I'm not sure, but been noticing it more and more on my social media. And shout out to my boy Vicente Miami V for telling me about this one. The show You on Netflix. God, I don't even the craziest thing is I still have a fuck ton of notes here from what I was writing down about how I was gonna get into You, but before I go there, let me, because it's gonna get deep, seriously. I'm gonna go ahead and take this time to shout out, the drink of the day, the week, the month, the motherfucking year, and of this podcast, water. Because sincerely, this is about to be some shit. Firstly, let's talk about on Netflix. RIP to the whole entire Marvel Netflix universe. That shit was gone in the span of 5 years. Now, if you think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is probably their most colossal fuck up since the Inhumans, the limited series. This has to be the biggest colossal fuck up. And don't get me wrong, I know plenty of people are like, oh, you shouldn't be surprised. Here's the deal. So what wound up happening is that Jessica Jones, Season 3, and The Punisher from here on out were just canceled at the time of this podcast earlier this week. So that pretty much spelled the death toll to the rest of the Marvel Netflix universe that they were forming. Now, I understand that Disney is getting into the streaming game with Disney Plus, which is supposed to be dropping soon, where you can get all of their old school movies, the live action movies, the Marvel movies, all these different things. I just think that as a plan overall, it was just sloppily executed to create these different series and this sort of sub-universe to the cinematic series, and not really have a real plan in place. You can almost tell that they, to a certain degree, were winging it, but they knew they were just going to keep incorporating main title of characters for their own standoff series. So it's for me, it all started with Daredevil. Then from Daredevil, and then spun to, was that Jessica Jones, I want to say it was? Yeah, it went from Daredevil to Jessica Jones, then it went over to Luke Cage, then from Luke Cage, then it went over to Iron Fist, and then that's when you had the Defenders. So of those, I mean, Daredevil got to season 3. You know, granted, it was great that at least got to season 3, but the problem is, I feel like they've ended all these series on high notes, like making you feel like, yeah, I can't wait for the next thing that's gonna happen, but then you don't know what's gonna happen. Like right now, there's a bunch of rumors coming out that all the actors attached to all these shows aren't guaranteed to come back at all. So they're not going to reprise their roles. It's not going to be on Netflix anymore. And at this point, Disney is going to be under the whole Disney Plus umbrella, but I don't know how they're going to necessarily do that. So it's weird. And like I said, you know, you had Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, then you had The Punisher. And like I said, of all those shows, Daredevil got to at least season 3. And all the other shows got to season 2 except for The Defenders, which rightfully so, because The Defenders was fucking garbage. I'm sorry. You can't convince me that Sigourney Weaver's old fucking ass was the head of the fucking Hand Ninja Syndicate. Like, fuck you, fuck off. Don't tell me this old white woman is the head of some fucking Asian fucking ninja clan that's been spanned for generations and generations. Fuck you, fuck off. No, you fucked up that particular fucking spinoff. You did. You just did. The Defenders was fucking horrible. I'm just calling that shit for what it is. It was fucking bad. But the main point here is that I feel like on more of Marvel's part, they just were reaching to try to find their footing for what they were going to do with no real plan in sight. And you would think with having a blueprint like you do with the cinematic universe that the Netflix portion of it was going to be fucking easy. I understand some people are like, oh, well, it's different to make a whole season of a show than like a 2 hour, you know, an hour and a half movie. Granted, yeah, but if you think about it, those movies are just trilogies. These seasons could have also just been trilogies, and then the eventual spin-offs where you have the collaborations. Why they didn't think to themselves like, hey, we're gonna pretty much give everybody 3 seasons. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and have 2 seasons of the Defenders, and then once we get there, then we're gonna introduce the other broader spinoffs to say Heroes for Hire, for say Moon Knight, you know, for you know, Daughters of the Dragon, you know, different rumored stuff that we thought was coming down the line, but now it's never gonna happen. It's just never going to happen. I mean, granted, props to them for giving these obscure Marvel characters some spotlight. Because, again, most people are like, oh, Daredevil, right. That was that Ben Affleck movie. Only thing good about that was Michael Clark Duncan, Kingpin, and his reference of saying he was from the Bronx. Otherwise, everything else about the movie was fucking horrible. But for him to be like, go home, Wesley. I'm from the Bronx. We got a certain way of doing this. I was like, shut the fuck out. Otherwise, Daredevil's like, no, people don't give Matt Murdock his due. Jessica Jones, I mean, admittedly, I'm not the biggest Jessica Jones fan, but this has probably been the most I've ever heard of her come up as a character, so that was cool. Luke Cage, I always thought Luke Cage was very, very corny. Like, I still, to a certain degree, think he's sort of corny, but I like that his campiness was like that blaxploitation, like, you know, Black Caesar and all those other old school, you know, Dolomite, like those old school sort of like, you know, throwback blaxploitation films. Like, that was cool, especially in the modern era, and especially in Harlem, where I was where I partially grew up, and I was like, yo, I know that particular place, dope. Like, you know, just all that sort of stuff. All that sort of stuff. So, I mean, they did a really good job highlighting some obscure characters. They just fucked up tremendously in execution. So, RIP to motherfucking pour some... Nah, I ain't pouring that shit on my car. Be crazy. RIP to the Marvel Netflix series. I feel like it was haphazardly done. Hopefully they don't take too long with regrouping and figuring out what they want to do with the particular series down the line. I think everybody loved everybody in their roles except for Danny Rand. But other than that, you know, I hopefully that Disney decides to breathe life back into it, you know, bring folks back. And now, instead of giving us those well all the way down to the middle of the season origin stories, it's going to be fresh in people's minds. All you have to do is maybe take one episode to get people back on par with what's going on, and then you can just go in a whole nother direction with it. I mean, at this point, we're up to about 3 fucking Spider-Men. So you can go ahead and read the Netflix Marvel series, that little universe that they had, is gonna get redone. If you can have 3 fucking Spider-Man, then yeah, it's gonna be redone. It's gonna be redone, so it's not a problem. But speaking, like I said, on Netflix though, this fucking show called You. So I'll try to go ahead and be brief because I know, like I said, I'm fucking chunking half of this fucking show into me and Netflix and my fucking love affair of speaking about myself and watching shit online. I'm gonna make it simple. It's about a guy who is a bookstore manager, okay, named Joe, and he is absolutely, positively obsessed with a broken, just overall mess of a woman and the shit he does to keep this woman in his life. So I'll make it brief. This man is not only stalking her, I mean going in her apartment, which I thought was very interesting. He was like the fucking, to a certain degree, if you had to take it to an anime perspective, which I know the nerds out there like, I love it, he's making the anime references. But he was almost like the light Yagami of fucking Death Note of like stalkers though. Like I'm talking, he was real methodical with how he was doing this shit. Somehow he was able to break into this brownstone apartment and be in her apartment. I mean, like go through her shit, see her underwear that she was wearing, get on her computer, see, get on like iCloud and see, or iMessage and see how she's messaging her friends. And then there were a bunch of times where like he would be in an actual like living space while the girl is in there with her friends or something. He's like hiding in the fucking bathroom, or he's hiding in like the foyer or some fucking other room to the side, listening to the conversations. I'm like, this motherfucker is like really Batman of stalking out here. Like it was crazy the shit he was doing. Like I said, I don't want to give it away, but he was slowly but surely just removing any and all obstacles out of his fucking way to be with this woman. And it was wild. I'm talking anybody can get it. Family, pets were the only motherfuckers probably safe from this man's reach. But I promise you, if she had a cat and that cat scratched her the wrong way one day, be like, oh yeah, so yeah, Mr. Yum Yum scratched you and you have a rash now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a way to kill this cat. And I'm like, bro, relax. You're so aggressive. That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, why are you so aggressive? Calm down. You are so aggressive. Because I'm talking, like, he broke it down to a science. Like, almost every other element in her life, he was controlling and manipulating this shit. And for her, she was just a fucking mess. She's one of these, no offense, ladies, I'm sorry. She's one of these millennial fucking flighty chicks where she's doing yoga, she's taking a million selfies and tweeting shit that she thinks is really, like, quirky and cool. And, was just out here doing her own thing. She was some piece of shit hipster dude. She was at one point, then out here drinking with her friends who really ain't shit, but it's her people, so she still loves them all the same. And, like, she was just a mess. I could liken it to, imagine if Forrest Gump was, like, a possessive, like, psycho. But then, at the same time, he's doing all that he was doing in his lifetime for Jenny. I'm like, bro, because I've gone on the record on my other podcasts to just straight out say, Forrest Gump is still, like, my favorite Tom Hanks movie, but Jenny is such a piece of shit. I will continue to debate till my face is blue about how much of a big piece of shit Jenny was. So yeah, so there was Jenny, and then there's Beck, which is the girl name. So he was Joe, the girl was Beck, or Guinevere, but called her by her last name Beck. So there's Jenny. As far as ain't shit chicks and popular media, it starts with Jenny, then you get with Beck, and then you fill in the line from there. But yeah, Beck was right there because she was just so oblivious to how much ain't shit she was. I'm talking like sleeping with random dudes even though you've been on like 6 or 8 dates with this guy and you're really feeling him. Talking about, yeah, I really like him, this, and this. So why are you fucking the random lumberjack dude that you met on Tinder, bro? Like, what are you doing? And then from there, like, I'm talking, he would be like in the other room while she's fucking somebody else and he's just like, oh, it's okay. You want to know why? Because I know we're meant to be together. And I'm like, bro, again, why are you so aggressive, son? It just doesn't make any sense. But God, it was a fucking long fucking 10 episodes. And they weren't even an hour. They were like 40 some more minutes. But they filled the shit out of those 40 some more minutes. Honestly, everybody on that show wasn't shit except for 2 characters. All right? And I'm going to try not to spoil too much when I mention this because I think the show's good and you should see it. The only 2 fucking pure spirits on that show was Karen Minty, okay? Because at some point during all this, not only crazy shit, spoilers, I'm sorry. Not only does he go on like a break from his little obsessive little chick to then go and sleep with the friend of the next door neighbor, okay, Karen Minty, completely goes on this whole little like mini relationship with this black chick. I'm like, okay, Joe, I see you out here. You out here getting your swirl on. You got your little misty night looking chick and shit. Like, I can dig it, Joe. Like, you out here, baby. You about to get to the barbecue. You probably been to the barbecue already, Joe. Joe fucks that up. He fucks that up. And she was a good chick. She had a great heart. She was giving. She was taking care of someone and, you know, and the issues they were having in their family, the next door neighbor, you know, like this was a good chick, Karen. So yeah, Karen was the only other innocent, like pure spirit on the show. The second was Ethan, the dude that he had working for him at the bookstore. This fucking guy was like just chilling. He was a book nerd, literary nerd, you know, I mean, brother, you know, probably like, yeah, only black guy on the show, okay, holding it down, you know, just doing the damn thing. I mean, this dude was hardly at the store, but Ethan was holding it down, his damn self. I mean, like I said, he was doing his thing, you know, he's out there, he got into a relationship with Beck's advisor, you know, I mean, you know, like Ethan was just a pure spirit. Not even the fucking kid next door was fucking exempt from shit, because he was out there doing dirt his damn self, which makes me think like, yo, he done fucked around and created like a smaller version of him that, as you see as the story goes on, you're like, okay, this is like on some Dexter level shit. Because somebody made him this way. And now he's making somebody else this way. So I'm just like, yo, I just have to say overall, it was a good fucking series. Like, there were times I was just like, oh no, what are you doing? And then other times I'm like, why are you hung up on the most basic of basic fucking Becky's, man? Like, what are you doing? But again, it was a story about a guy and his unrelenting obsession for love and the woman that he loved, and it was Beck. So he murdered, he sabotaged, he manipulated, he did everything he could for Beck. And the way it ends and everything comes together, and then you see backstories and how all these different pieces had to move to get out of his way. It's like, holy fuck. I just basically just saw, like, if Norman Bates was Batman, this motherfucker. And then what killed me the entire time, because I know this was in my notes, but I just remembered the shit. He reminded me so much of Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He looks just like Dennis. It was ridiculous the whole time. I'm like, yo, dude, this is like Dennis if they just allowed Dennis to get real dark. Because he would have dark moments like the Dennis system, which was like this character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Dennis. He had his whole system of how he would just come into a woman's life, get close with her, and then just let her go entirely. Nah. The Joe system is the entire way. It's like get into a woman's life, eliminate every other obstacle keeping you from completely having her at your whim, and then lock her down for good. Like, that's exactly what it was. So it was crazy. He looked just like fucking Dennis. And I saw it on the internet. And so I was like, wait, somebody had to make this fucking association. And they did. That's why I love the internet. So, yeah, man. Fucking Netflix has had me completely locked